The way I came to write it is when I began writing, I started writing memoirs because as much as I don't like getting out in front of people, I really like studying people. I've always been a people watcher. I love doing research and just getting into the nitty gritty of things, and basically have been a student of people my whole life. I've always been curious about them and what made people do the things that they do. And so memoirs were a good way for me to get started. After I had retired, I was fooling around taking online classes from one of the local universities, University of Tennessee, and but didn't have a direction. And that was one of my problems. I never had a direction. And so a friend asked me one time, if you could do anything, what would you do? If you could write anything, what would you write? And I said, I think I would write memoirs because it just seems like something that's always been fascinating. So I wrote a couple of memoirs. And then another friend asked me if I would write about her mother and her family and told me there had been a terrible tragedy and that no one had ever really written about. And she thought it would make a great book. But the problem was she couldn't tell me anything about it. She just
Okay.
said it happened and where it happened, but she didn't know anything about her family or the details of this terrible tragedy. So I was going to have to just dig deep and do it all myself, figure it all out. So I thought it's a challenge, and I like a challenge. I started digging into her family's history. And as I went back to a couple of generations, I discovered her great grandfather. And he is the man I've been telling you about. He was so fascinating. I decided that's where my book had to start. That if I could write this book, then I'd be able to write her book, and which is I'm doing now. And
Nice.
so that's how it came about.
Okay, great. That's a cool story, and I love the research behind it.